Hello, my name's Rachel and I work for Step 2 Young People's Health. This video is part of a series called How to Talk to Your Child About. This particular video focuses on pornography. Okay, so some things before we start. You may or may not be aware that schools, secondary schools, now have to teach their young people about pornography, particularly the dangers of pornography, the fact that it's not representative of real life, and looking at how it can impact on relationships, especially in young people. So, if you are having conversations about pornography with your child, remember that it's going to be uncomfortable for both of you. If they've asked you questions, think about why they're asking. It might be something that they've seen, it might be something that they've heard. Try not to probe too much. Let them talk to you, let them tell you how much they're comfortable with telling you. You might need to take a second to prepare yourself. It's okay to take a deep breath, compose yourself, think about how you're going to answer this. Remember that access to pornography has never been easier. It isn't as well regulated as people think it is. It is very easily accessible for our young people who are generally very tech savvy. It is possible that your child or children have accessed pornography. We know that it's quite pervasive and that a lot of young people in schools have seen it. Try not to judge your young person. Okay? Listen to them and let them guide the conversation. So, talking about access. Pornography is accessible anywhere these days. The most common form is probably videos. So it's moved away from the kind of magazines that are hidden away or are on the top shelf in the newsagents. And now young people are seeing things through social media. They're having links sent to them, usually through mobile phone or tablet. A lot of young people are accessing through gaming consoles, through Xboxes and things like that. Anything that connects to the internet is a form of media that they can use. Social media platforms, some of them are incredibly badly regulated in terms of the content that they allow. You can see various logos and things there. There are some of those that are really not protecting our children in terms of the content that's on there, and pornography is extremely easy to find. They may also be receiving unsolicited texts. If your child receives an unsolicited picture, commonly known as dick pics, then if that is of another young person, your child, whether they wanted to or not, has actually broken the law by viewing that image. It's really important that we get the young people to understand that sending these images not only breaks the law for yourself, but for the person that receives it as well. Any unsolicited images of anybody under the age of 18, it is important that we can have conversations around that with our young people and what that means. They might think it's a form of pornography, they might think it's quite normal. It's actually classed as child sexual abuse imagery or child sexual abuse material or media. Thinking about that, it links into consent. You know, are the young people consenting to watch these things? Are they consenting to look at naked images of other people, or have they had that thrust upon them? So it's really important that you instill consent in your young person. Schools are really good at this. I know in secondary schools for definite, it is reinforced all the way through the curriculum from years 7 to 11. Basic things such as please can I borrow a pen, all the way up to sexual consent. Primary schools are quite good at this too. Children understand that they have to ask permission for something. They might not know the word consent, but they are learning those basics. Okay, so in terms of why your child might be asking you about pornography, there are a range of reasons. I've put some of them here, but these may not be the only ones. So they might have been sent something that they've not asked for. It might be a link to a video. They might have seen something on another person's phone, kid at school going, hey, watch this. They might be curious. We get asked a lot when we're in schools, what is sex? How do you have sex? That's not on the curriculum. We don't actually teach them the mechanics of how to have sex. So some of them turn to pornography to find out what actually happens and how it's done and what goes where and who does what. And it could just be that they're genuinely curious because they're going through puberty, they're reaching sexual maturity, and their hormones going nuts. Might be that all their friends talk about watching it and they're thinking, well, I feel quite left out, I can't get involved in any conversations, I'm going to see what all the fuss is about. Sadly, for some young people, it has become normalised. They think that this is part of normal life. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go home from school, lock yourself in your bedroom and watch loads of pornography. Some of them might be watching it because they don't actually understand the fascination. They can't understand why people are wanting to watch it, so they're looking to see what all the fuss is about. And in some cases, it could be that they're trying to understand their own sexuality. So if you've got a young person going through puberty that is questioning whether they might be gay, bisexual, whether they're asexual, could be anything along that line, they might be looking to see, actually, who am I most excited by? I'm a young man, am I seeing the men and getting more excited by them than I am by seeing the women, vice versa, any other way that works. There's lots of questions that they can ask. These are some of the ones that we've come across from young people when we're going to schools and talk about it. They want to know why people watch it. And I suppose for some people it is that level of curiosity, but when we're talking to them, we say to them, adults in relationships, they might want to watch that, they might be looking to get a couple of bits of ideas, but actually they're watching it together as a form of sexual gratification, and it often leads to them then having sex themselves. They might ask if it's real. Porn films are films. They have a film set, they have a director, they have camera crews, there's a makeup person, they take lunch breaks, the scenes are cut, they're then cast appropriately, they are refilmed if something's not quite right. There's no kind of romance or anything in them. There is literally a group of people stood watching these people have sex because that's their job. You get a lot of questions about, why don't I look like that? Am I normal? So in pornography, there's very few scars, there's often not that many tattoos, you won't see birthmarks, you won't see limb defects or deformities, you won't see disabled people in wheelchairs and things, unless it's quite specialised. I'm talking mainstream pornography here. You don't see people with cleft palates, with teeth missing. Everybody's perfect, everybody's beautiful, everybody's really tanned, everybody looks lovely with no clothes on, and actually quite a lot of them have had plastic surgery to get them to that point. Nothing wrong with plastic surgery at all, but children need to understand that these people that they're seeing in these films are not representative of the whole of society. You might get questions about, why are they doing this particular act to each other? And it's about staying calm, and it's basically saying some people enjoy that. Might not be everybody, but some people enjoy that. That is the easiest answer that you can give to questions about pornography. Well, some people enjoy it. And it's important to use the word some, because not everybody does. Not everybody enjoys the same activities. Some people will enjoy anal sex, other people will balk at the thought of it and think absolutely not. Okay, it might be based on faith as well. So if you're of a faith where that's forbidden or not allowed, then they might have a genuine question about, why are they actually doing that, because that's not okay. And you say, well, some people have a different faith, they might like that, they might think that's okay. It makes me feel a bit funny, is that okay? This can be a difficult question to answer simply because they've not defined what they mean by a bit funny. So they will be starting to experience sexual arousal. So it might be a case of they are feeling slightly aroused by this, or it could be a case of actually they really don't like this and they're a little bit disgusted by it. So you've kind of got to gently clarify what they're talking about before you can actually answer that. Now, some people don't like pornography, some people really like pornography, and it's okay as long as you are watching it within the confines of your own home or elsewhere, you know, nothing that spills out and affects your daily life. So if you're watching it on the bus, not appropriate, particularly when you're surrounded by other people. If you're watching it at work, you're having to interrupt your day at work to watch pornography, that's not okay. That's when it's becoming a bit of a problem. Talking about the problems, there are adverse effects of pornography, and this is what the young people need to understand. It seriously affects brain development. Your brain is not fully developed until you're about 25 years old. That does differ in some people. You can see from the scan at the bottom, there's a normal, for want of a better word, brain. There's a brain on heroin and there's a brain on pornography. So somebody that's watched a significant amount of pornography, you can see the damage that it's caused, and it's changed the chemicals in their brain. And basically what happens is you are rewiring your brain. You see something that excites you, you get a small hit of dopamine. Next time you need a bigger hit of dopamine because you're getting a little bit used to it, and then you need more and more and more, and you need it more often. And that's how addiction works. Pornography can be just as addictive as class A drugs, and that is a significant problem. It leads to a lack of understanding about relationships. That girl's always saying no, and he goes ahead and has sex with her anyway. Trying not to be sexist there, but that is a popular theme in pornography. You know, they will think, oh, we don't need consent because they did it anyway, and she clearly enjoyed it. Similarly, it will give them a lack of understanding of, you know, you just walk in the door and you immediately start having sex. There's no other kind of intimacy. And again, those body issues and self-esteem issues. So there's things that you can do to support your young person. Okay, when you're having these difficult conversations, take breaks if you need to. There's going to be points where you both suddenly feel a little bit overwhelmed, okay, or you need time to process. I'm just going to go and make a cup of tea. I'll be back in a minute. Be honest with them. If you don't know the answers, tell them that. Discuss benefits and risks, you know. So yes, some people like pornography, sexual gratification, but these are the risks of watching it too much. Okay, you may have seen in the news about Billie Eilish. She was exposed to a lot of pornography as a child, and it significantly impacted her adult relationships. You need to remember their brains are not fully developed yet, so they're not going to understand everything, so you might need to come back to these conversations. Please don't tell them about your experiences. You don't want to scar your child for life. They won't appreciate that. But, you know, you can put things in the third person. Don't shame or blame them. They may have been watching it. They may not have realised that there's anything wrong with that. And don't run away from the conversation. Your child has sought you out because they trust you. They want to have this conversation with you. Yes, it's a bit scary. Yes, it's quite embarrassing. But they trust you and they have questions and they need your help. On here I've put some support services that you may want to talk to. There aren't many support services for pornography addiction, but the NHS can point you in the right direction if necessary. If the questions are related to sexual health, I'm conscious that we're based in Bradford and there will be other services around the country, but I've put the local Chat Sexual Health Service and BASH, which is a sexual health service in the Bradford area. There will be other services in your area if you are watching outside of Bradford. Brook is a national charity and some of the resources on their website are absolutely fantastic, and I will be referring to them in some of the other videos. They also have lots of training videos which are really, really helpful for professionals, but if you want to know a bit more about something as a parent, you know, those courses are free to do and they're absolutely fantastic. So I work for Step 2 and we work with James and Hale to go into Bradford schools and deliver relationships and sex education across the district. We are a sexual health and mental health charity, so we have a counselling arm as well. You can see all our social medias there, which young people and yourselves can get in touch with us through. And that way, you know, if you've got any further questions, by all means, get in touch with us and ask them. Hale is a health charity, so they do lots of work around sexual health and around social prescribing. James is an independent school. But if you do have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us on the social medias and have a look at some of the other videos in this series that we're doing.